Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no yet again of despair. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan, whoever is leaving, ours is no caravan, whoever is leaving, ours is no caravan, ours leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
We invite the gong 3 times in remembrance of those who have come before us, with appreciation for all of you who are here today, and with anticipation and hope for those who will be part of this congregation in the future. Good morning. It is Sunday, January 4th, 2026. My name is Kathy Mitchell, and Jennifer Call and I are your service leaders for today. We want to welcome everyone joining us online and in person to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. Here you can be yourself, but not by yourself. Whomever you love, however you describe yourself or name the holy, you are welcome here. We especially welcome those of you who are here for the first time, and those who are recently new to us and returning again. We're so glad that you are here. If there's anyone visiting for the first time or returning after a while, we'd love for you to introduce yourself, although you don't have to if you don't want to. Anyone want to introduce themselves?
Hi, my name is Leslie Nishiguchi, and I am actually from Yoncalla, Oregon. Hi, Rose. And I wanted to see what you're about.
Welcome. Everyone, please stay for coffee, tea, and conversation after the service so we can all get to know one another better. We begin our service with the acknowledgement that our congregation rests on the unceded lands of indigenous people, including the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua tribe. Their name graces our congregation and the river that flows through this land. We make this land acknowledgement in recognition of the Cow Creek Umpqua, the Yoncalla Kalapuya, and the Southern Molalla and other tribes who have been forcibly displaced, yet who continue to live, lead and create and belong here. May this acknowledgement move us toward repair, relationship, and right action. As Unitarian Universalists, we are diverse in faith. We think for ourselves and honor how our life experience influences what we believe. We are Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, humanist, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, atheist, agnostic, and those who weave together more than one path. We come from radical roots and a long history of people who sought a faith grounded in freedom, reason, and love. Unitarian Universalism is its own faith tradition. We are united, not because we all believe the same thing, but because we share a commitment to seek truth, practice compassion, and build a more just and loving world. Our practices differ, our languages for the holy differ, but the tradition that we share is real, a faith shaped by history, covenant, conscience, and by community. Announcements. Next Sunday, there will be a board meeting after the service at 12:30, and all are welcome to attend. There's a copy of the draft agenda, a few copies, on the back table if you wish to look it over. Additional announcements are in your order of service along with upcoming events. You'll note when you look at the insert to the order of service that one side of it is last week's announcement, but one side is the correct announcements for this week. Does anyone else have announcements? Yes, Judy does. Here, let me bring you a mic, Judy.
Hi, most of you know me. I'm Judy. I'm going to be starting a women's support group. Is it in the program? I think it is. Okay. So, January 27th, 1:30 to 3. And just catching my breath running in here. I'm a psychologist, many of you know, but I'm not going to be leading it as a psychologist as much as a support group where we all, pitch in and talk about what's important to us, and everything that we get said there will be confidential. We're going to meet in this corner over here and eventually downstairs. So if any of you are interested, please call me or text me and let me know.
Thanks, Judy. And if anybody has any questions, they can get in touch with you also, right?
I want to express a thank you for the Sleep in Heavenly Peace gifts that you all gave to the kids in our community. That's who's getting them. And so I want to give you a thank you for that from them. And today, anybody who wants to stick around long enough to help de-decorate the tree, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Merlin. And now, if you'd rise, as you're willing and able, we'll start with our opening song, Comfort Me, which is number 1002 in your hymnal. I believe the words are also going to be on the screen.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. for me. Speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me. Speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul.
In our community today, there are many children and adults, housed and unhoused, facing illness and hunger, and often in despair. Acting in compassion for those who are in need, our service to the community is to collect your donations of food and money for the Fish Food Pantry. Our church offering will be later in the service. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and will definitely be put to good use in our community. Our opening words today are by Jean M. Ricard. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity.
To respect differences with dignity and to challenge those who would forbid it.
We are people of a wide path. Let us be wide in affection and go our way in peace.
Our chalice lighting words are written by Craig Rowland. We light this chalice for the ones who arrived disheveled, carrying questions, contradictions, grief half-healed, and dreams still raw.
You deserve a place that welcomes your becoming, that knows your fire is not too much, your silence not too little, and a place that sees your shadows and still reaches for your light.
You deserve a community that listens when you speak your truth, that sits with you in turmoil and rises with you in joy, that believes in your voice even when it trembles.
You deserve a circle that brings you hope and coffee and poetry, a place to rest, a place to rise.
Let this flame be that place, not perfect, but possible, not without cracks, but full of light. Welcome home. Please rise in body or in spirit as we say the words of our affirmation printed in your order of service. We come together to renew our spirits, to open our hearts, to remember the strength we find in community, and to shape a more just and loving world together.
We now take a moment to hold what we're carrying into this day, the joys that have found us, and the worries, griefs, and longing that travels with us too. If you'd like to light a candle, you're invited to come forward and form a line to my right. When you share, please say your name and keep your words brief so that there is a space in the circle of care for all those who wish to speak.
My name is Jean, and I want to light a candle for Diane. She's at urgent care this morning, not feeling well, and her birthday's Tuesday, and I so want her to be well by then.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jackie. Thinking of everything you've so far sung and said this morning, Liline is at a place where all she wanted was for me to hold her head and pat on her. She needs us. She needs to know. You know she's missing. And I ask you one more time, because yesterday we spent time in urgent care and found her having a deep infection in her abdomen. So that's one more thing to add to whatever else she's having to do. So do you think she wants me there taking care of her? No. But she really would like to know you care. Thank you. She's at home. She's still at home. And I still go. But she still gets her ice in her water and all that. So please.
Hi, I'm Dana, and I have a candle to light for two very dear friends, Trish and Hayward, lost their home to a fire on December 28th. And they're both in their 80s, and one of them has the onset of dementia. So this big change is going to be pretty hard for them. But the women's community in Southern Oregon is just fantastic. I'm sure they're being well taken care of, and they have a GoFundMe page. And so things are moving, I think, in the right direction. But unfortunately, tragedy happens, and we just have to move beyond it the best we can.
Hi, I'm John Asham, and I wanted to remark on some of the best news I've heard in a long time that flew up and hit me in the nose here with our announcements. That Alex Holt is coming next week. I have heard Alex Holt preach, and the first time was in the 1990s when I was a member of the Michael Servetus Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. He is an erudite man, and I'll let him speak for himself, but I can offer you one observation. Alex Holt is a good man.
Figure this out. Yes, I'm Jody, and I'm lighting this candle this morning for a dear friend of ours, and some of you know her, Gail Bowser. We were planning, Kathy and I, a trip with them and some other friends down the Amazon River in April. Unfortunately, her health is not doing well, and that probably won't happen, but we really want to remember Gail and the struggles that she is going through, the 3 heart attacks she had, the inflammation, all of the stuff that's happening with her health. And so keep her in your hearts today.
I'm going to take 2 candles. Hi, I'm Lori. And one of the candles is to say thank you to Judy, who appeared behind me, for taking on this, bringing together people that are having the need to express and talk about things going on, because that's a wonderful place. We're here for community. Thank you for that. And the other is just in general for love for all of you. That's it.
Many of you know my friend Lauren Schroeder. She's actually talked here at times before, but she needs to rehome her 6 or 7-year-old Jack Russell dog. And I remember somebody might have said they wanted a long-term 4-legged companion. So he's a really nice dog named Gus. So if anybody knows anybody who would like to have him, let me know.
And I will be lighting a final candle for those of us who have kept our joys and concerns deep within our hearts. We are supported by the voluntary generosity of all of our friends and members. We are committed to using your gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. We are deeply grateful for your support of our shared hopes and values. We are committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. And we'll now sing our response, "From You I Receive." Please remain standing, or please stand, if you wish, as we sing, "We Are Our Grandmother's Prayers." Wait.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Okay, now, please remain standing. If you wish, as we sing We Are Our Grandmother's Prayers.
Each child that's born on morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born on morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We are sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life, builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Levon Limpus is a hospice chaplain and a third-year Unitarian Universalist seminarian from central Montana, where she grew up, the youngest of 6 in a ranching family. After seminary, she will focus on chaplaincy and pulpit speaking engagements with an emphasis on ritual for healing community. Currently, she works with Grief Tenders of Grants Pass to educate community leaders about grief through the ritual of forest bathing.
Hello. I'm going to tell you a little story. We're going to be talking about grief, and I thought, boy, this maybe not be the right time to talk about grief, but I think maybe it is, maybe it's the right time. I started chaplaincy, not really very excited about that. You have to do a certain amount of hours to receive your ordination. And so they call it CPE hours. And I started over at Asante in Grants Pass, wonderful crew of folks, most of which are very conservative Christian. There are a few, like myself, that would be perhaps humanist or pagan or just a little more off center. So I want to tell you this story that got me to thinking about where grief comes from. I was shadowing a long time Methodist minister one morning, and we were going on our rounds, and everything was fine, and I was learning, and I was just sort of standing back, staying silent. And for some reason, he had come from something in the community where he was wearing his little collar. And we walked into the room, and the woman, this was an end-of-life visit, she was not aware. She was completely unaware. However, the husband, who had clearly been up for days, was sitting next to her, tear-streaked face, and he looked up and he saw that collar and he attacked the minister. He came right across the bed, and he grabbed him around the throat. And I thought, you know, what do you do in a moment of absolute crisis, emotional crisis? He clearly had no anger towards the man, but certainly what this collar represented in that moment. And as I serve as a chaplain in Unitarian Universalist Seminary, my ministry continues to pull me back to how grief manifests itself in ways I could not have even considered. I would never have thought that morning that I would witness a violent episode. I've begun to work through the social, spiritual, and political implications of grief with a social media campaign I called the Grief Literacy Project, more for myself than for anyone else. It seems every time I try to go away from grief and death and dying, I'm pulled more in that direction. If I try to go away from it, things get hard and muddy and I'm slogging through it. But if I lean into it and lean into that discomfort, it just opens up. I suppose that's the way it goes. But it helps me and helps hopefully people understand that grief not as a private tragedy, but as a universal human experience that shapes our politics, our relationships, and our communities. Grief, the real reason people fear diversity. Well, it's certainly one of them. It's a bold claim, but it is one that I'm constantly revisiting in the work that I do. And so it is one that I believe is deeply true. Beneath the loudest political rhetoric, beneath the angriest social conflicts, beneath the most entrenched resistance to change, there is grief. It is not always acknowledged. It is not always conscious, but it is present. It is powerful, and it is shaping our world. The first thing that we do as chaplains is we name the hidden grief. And so if we can visit enough and get enough input from those that we are chaplaining, we can oftentimes find the root. So what is the hidden grief beneath political fear that we're experiencing in our country today? We're living in a moment of intense political fear. The fear of demographic change, the fear of cultural change, the fear of losing our way of life, the fear of losing power, identity, or certainty. But fear is almost never the first emotion. Fear is the bodyguard emotion. Fear protects something more tender underneath. And that tender thing is grief. What are people grieving? The loss of their cultural dominance, the loss of familiar norms, the loss of predictability, the loss of a world where they felt centered, the loss of economic stability, the loss of unquestioned identity, the loss of a story about who they are. When people say, I want my country back, they're expressing grief. When people resist inclusion curricula, they're expressing grief. When people panic about immigration, they're expressing grief. When people cling to rigid binaries, they are expressing grief. It is a grief over the death of sameness. And grief, when unacknowledged, becomes fear. Fear, when unaddressed, becomes anger. Anger, when uncontained, becomes policy. History certainly shows us this pattern. I don't know if you figured it out yet, but I'm a history buff. None of this is new. History is full of moments when grief masqueraded as fear of the other. Some examples: the backlash to Reconstruction was grief over the loss of racial hierarchy. The internment of Japanese Americans was grief over national vulnerability. Resistance to women's suffrage was grief over the loss of patriarchal certainty. Backlash to the civil rights movement was grief over the loss of segregationist identity. In each case, grief was misrepresented as danger. And when grief is misdiagnosed, the treatment becomes oppression. There is a science behind this, so the nerd in me had to figure that out as well. Why grief makes us fear diversity. Modern neurosciences and psychologists help us understand why this happens. The brain treats change as loss. Even positive change activates the same neural pathways as bereavement. The amygdala reacts to unfamiliarity as threat, not because difference is dangerous, but because the brain prefers predictability. Identity loss registers as a physical pain. Studies have shown that when people feel their cultural or social identity is threatened, the brain lights up in the same regions activated by a physical injury. Grief narrows our worldview. When people are grieving, consciously or not, they become more rigid, more nostalgic, more reactive, and more susceptible to fear-based messaging. Who does that sound like? This is why diversity feels frightening to some people, not because diversity is harmful, but because grief is unrecognized. The spiritual truth behind this is that diversity is not the threat, that grief is. Diversity is not the problem. Difference is not the danger. The danger is unprocessed grief. When people do not understand their grief, they project it outward. They attach it to scapegoats. They mistake discomfort for danger. They mistake change for chaos. They mistake grief for fear. And fear, when weaponized, becomes ideology. Our values as Unitarian Universalists can affect change. Our UU's values are not abstract ideals. They are tools, practical, grounded, and urgently needed. I've actually determined what each value does and where we can use those values if we can lean into them. Here's how a radical welcome helps us engage grief-driven fear. When we welcome people and their grief, we welcome a whole human. We recognize that resistance often comes from sorrow and not malice. For justice and equity, we understand that grief cannot justify harm. We hold compassion and accountability together. For transformation, we help people see that change is not loss, it is evolution. Transformation is not the enemy of tradition, it is a continuation. For interdependence, we remind one another that no one grieves alone. Our liberation is bound up together. For pluralism, we affirm that diversity is not a threat, but a spiritual resource, that difference expands us. For generosity, We offer grace to those who are grieving, even when their grief is messy. We practice curiosity instead of judgment. For compassion, we recognize that fear is often a cry for help. We respond with empathy and not contempt. And for accountability, which is a big one right now, we name harm clearly. We refuse to spiritualize oppression. We hold boundaries that protect the vulnerable. And I always hesitate to speak and not give some opportunities for how we can change and affect change. So I think that what we can do for right now is name grief when we see it. Not to excuse the harm, but certainly to help us to understand it better. We can teach grief literacy, help people recognize grief in themselves and others. We can create spaces for lament. For example, forest bathing, which is used to offer rituals for the losses that people cannot name. Model our curiosity about difference. Show that diversity is not a threat, but a gift. Hold boundaries with compassion. Grief explains behavior. It does not justify harm. Tell a bigger story, a story where diversity is not the end of something, but the beginning of something more whole and more just and more beautiful. In closing, I would like to say that grief is not the enemy, that grief is a teacher. When we understand grief, we understand fear. When we understand fear, we understand resistance. When we understand resistance, we can respond with wisdom instead of reactivity. Diversity is not what people fear. They fear the losses they have not yet named. Our work as UUs, as chaplains, as neighbors, is to help people name their grief, honor their grief, and move through their grief. Because on the other side of grief is not fear. It is connection, compassion, community, belovedness. It is the world we are trying to build. Amen, and may it be so.
And now is the time for questions, comments, and thoughts from you.
Thank you very much. That was a very full-on description about grief that I think is necessary in this time when it's really important to go beyond the fear and the anxiety and all of that seems to be being created by those outside of our ability to have them maybe work in our best favor. But what happened? How did that minister deal with getting choked? I needed to hear that.
I need to hear. The saga continues. So what had happened was the woman had extreme religious trauma. The husband did not. However, when he saw that person, he registered that fear that somehow she was going to be traumatized by it. And so that's why he literally came across the bed, was on top of her with his arms around the neck of this gentleman. And of course, that's scary. So the first reaction is, like a physical response and like, get off of me. But then when the gentleman's lying on the floor, crumpled on the floor, sobbing, and the opportunity arises at that moment to try to understand what had happened, we were then given the rest of the story. So, yeah, I mean, no harm, no foul in terms of there was no physical, but it sure taught me a lesson, especially as a brand new chaplain. Like I said, grief makes you do incredibly odd things. You never know how people are going to process their own grief. Yeah, you're welcome.
What is this forest you speak of?
Forest bathing. So
bathing.
Yeah, forest bathing. So it's an idea, really, that people can go out and reconnect with nature, and they can leave their grief with basically the energy of the forest. And so there's some Tree hugging, of course, that's involved with that. There's a ritual, aspect of that, which I'm really interested in the research around ritual and healing. Some people are very anti-ritual because they may have trauma that came from, ritualized experiences. So it's always sort of up to that individual how much and how far, they would like to go. The main idea is to bring people into the idea that nature is an opportunity for healing one's grief, or healing in general. So the beauty of living in the Pacific Northwest is the ability to do this, and there's quite a few opportunities to do this. There are groups right now that what they're trying to do is gather those that are in positions of leadership, because as we know, sometimes this knowledge will roll downhill. And so we want to make sure that like superintendents and principals, and for example, just in the educational sector, are aware that, people need to, one, be aware that grief is a big part of our human experience, and two, that there are ways to process it in a healthy way. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's a very interesting subject. I spent years working in developing programs for people that were economically diverse. And that's something we don't hear and think a lot about. People that are chronically homeless, the people we see on the streets, people that are dealing with mental health issues, people that are previously incarcerated. Those are often really hard for us to dig down and find out. Why do we fear them? And do we fear them? Are we anxious every time we see someone or interact with someone like that? And where does that come from? Because working with them over many, many years and being part of their lives, believe me, they're as beautiful and wonderful as anyone that you would ever know. And their stories are so beautiful. But there is that moment that we experience that, you see how easy it is for people walking by a homeless person to clutch their purses a little closer, and just that fear, and how that's just trying to figure out and dig down on how that grief plays into that and where that comes from. Thank you very much for this.
Welcome.
I'm so glad I was here today to hear what you said. And I'm sitting here wandering through the eras of my life, which is pretty long. I'm 89. And realizing how things happened to make me know what you're talking about. And the only one that I can share that I think would help people would understand. My father was, I'm sorry, words leave me. A doctor of your soul, is psychiatrist. Anyway, and he saw me when I was 16, starting to try to gear my life to make my mother's life, who was a drunk, better for her. And he said, I don't want you going down that rat hole. So you get yourself a college that's way far away from here that she can't get to in a weekend. And you take your clothes and your life and you go away from here in Seattle and go east to school and you start over. Mm-hmm. And that was his way of saying, do not follow the grief. And I have done that over and over and over. and it has really been helpful right into what's your story today. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you. Please rise as you're able or willing, and we'll sing our closing song.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan, lover despair. Come, yet again, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan, lover despair. Ours is no yet again, lover despair.
We close today with these words from John Lou Johnston: "We shall overcome."
When we can truly celebrate the diversity of contributions and talents offered by all people, we shall overcome hatred and prejudice and oppression.
When we can truly extend our hands to one another in loving acceptance, we shall overcome the past that haunts us now.
Living in peace and freedom, we shall overcome the wrongs that have happened and the debts left unpaid.
Living in peace and freedom, we shall overcome the wrongs that have happened and the debts left unpaid. Let us say together, Amen and blessed be. As we extinguish this flame, may we carry its warmth into the world, not as a memory, but as a promise.
A promise that you deserve a place where your voice matters, where your laughter is treasured and your silence is honored.
You deserve a circle that sees your scars and your strengths, your doubts and your radiance, and holds them all with care.
Let us be that circle for one another, a community of fierce, welcome, wild grace, and radical hope.
Go knowing you belong here. You always have, and you always will. Please join in our closing circle as we sing Go Lift It Up, and be sure to also join us after for coffee and conversation.
Guide your journey.